All right, yeah, Hobbit.
Down, down to Goblin Town.
Dude, they were so good, the little songs.
Yeah, I love that it wasn't really sung by the characters most of the time. It was just like, here's some 70s soft rock dudes doing some voices in the background.
And it's never even a full song. It's like there's like 3 or 4 sentences usually that they'll repeat and they have some music with it.
All right, that's all we paid for.
Down the Goblin Town.
Yeah, it'd just be like Bilbo looks over a hill and you just hear the greatest adventure. And then next scene.
It's so good.
Happy Hobbit days. This is a podcast where we talk about hobbits all month long, all December long. Yeah, either, as you know, I don't know how to start the podcast yet, so I'll either be with yet another hearty, happy Hobbit days, or something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Hull, and this is a podcast where my friends and I talk about hobbits all December long. We talk about movies that either I or guests hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week is the 1977 TV movie The Hobbit, made by Rankin Bass, aired on NBC originally. I think this is our first TV movie. It's actually a first for a lot of things, but we'll get there. First off, your guest, left or right across your podcast dial, we got Robbie.
Hey.
Greg.
Hey.
Both of these guys pulling quadruple duty in Middle-earth this month.
Also, for anyone who's not knowledgeable like myself, Rankin Bass is 2 people. Took me a long time to figure that out.
And it's Rankin/Bass. It's not Rank and Bass.
Yeah, it's Rankin/Bass. 2 people.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into all that. So,
Will we?
what else are we going to talk about? It's only a 78-minute long movie, and every episode this month has been at least 3 hours recorded. So.
I just don't feel like we normally talk about like who produced the movie in that much detail.
Yeah, well, that's
Rankin
fair.
Bass, though, are pretty famous.
For
you know what I mean?
yeah, it being our first Rankin Bass.
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
don't even know who they are.
So-
They made Rudolph. There.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
They do a lot of the claymations.
The Heat Miser. He's
Oh,
one
yes.
of their guys.
Yeah.
Now the songs make sense.
Now the songs make sense, right? See, it's all coming together.
It's full circle.
But this being a hand-drawn one of theirs, not the kind of spheroid stop-motion stuff that they were obviously more known for. But they did a lot of a decent amount of producing these. But again, we'll get into all that. First off, guys, how have your Hobbit days gone? And have you seen anything good recently?
My Hobbit days have been wonderful. I've been I can't think of anything in particular, but we've been watching Hallmark movies. Or like Netflix's version of Hallmark movies.
Yep.
I forgot what it's called, but we did watch the Lindsay Lohan one.
Falling for Christmas?
Falling for Christmas. Yes. You would never, the plot was just...
That poor girl endures so much head trauma in that movie.
I haven't seen it.
It's,
I like that the fiance runs off with the fisherman at the end, clearly.
I don't remember.
Wait, the fiance decides to be, he runs off with a guy?
So that's what I got out of it, didn't you?
Oh, yes. I do remember this.
That's pretty progressive.
It's very progressive.
There's like a grizzled old fisherman guy who saves his life in the woods, and they form a fast friendship.
Fast friendship, yes.
All right.
But yeah, so that was fun. And we've watched some other ones. I think Ray put on Single All the Way twice now.
Oh my God.
That's the Netflix's gay Hallmark movie. It's surprisingly good, actually. As far as those like Hallmark ones go, it's one of the better ones. I don't know if maybe Netflix is just spending a bit more money than Hallmark does. It obviously it has the same exact plot that they all have still.
I think so. You can probably pretty well guess that Netflix spends more money than Hallmark.
Yes,
for the big movies at least. I guess they both produce a lot of stuff, so they can't all be huge amounts of money, I guess.
I'm pretty convinced that Hallmark just has like a script ad lib. And they tell you to fill in like different adjectives and nouns, and then they just plop it into the.
There's they are enjoyable for Christmas though. There's that comforting feeling when you know everything that's going to happen in a movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think they say people like to rewatch stuff because it is comforting because you already know what's going to happen. And the Hallmark movies give you that feeling without actually knowing, but you're like, I know I have never seen this movie before, but I know exactly what's going to happen, and it's comforting. It's
like pretty restricted Mad Libs, though, where the love interest can only be a baker or own a bed and breakfast.
Yes.
Those are the only options.
It's like a little drop-down menu ad lib.
Yep. Bed and breakfast and Falling for Christmas. Short Overstreet owns a bed and breakfast.
I don't know. Watching those Hallmark movies doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, I'm watching Futurama again for the 15th time.
Yeah, it's just comforting.
It's so good.
It's a
It is
comfort
really
watch,
good.
right?
I haven't watched it in so long, and I was like, man, I'll go rewatch Futurama
I've
again.
never watched it all the way through. I've definitely missed episodes, but I've seen like a ton of them, and I always think about watching it all the way through because it does have like a plot.
It has a decent plot. And
Yeah.
it's really good.
I'd say that and South Park are two shows that I've never like watched. Like, oh, the new episode is on tonight, so I'm going to catch up. So I wouldn't consider myself like a dedicated viewer of either of those shows, but I've definitely seen at least 78 to 100 episodes of each program.
There's like the thing with Futurama a little bit more so than South Park is there's absolutely plot points that you miss if you do it that way, especially towards the last seasons. But I don't know. So I would highly recommend. But I haven't watched anything new since we talked about Wednesday and
Cool.
the other one. Oh, the Leftovers, which you should watch. You recommended it to me multiple times.
Both those are on
I
my
haven't
list
watched
now.
it before, but I think you would like this. This is a favored expression of friendship of mine.
During winter break, I think I'm going to catch up. I'm going to watch Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday was really good.
I get
Pat also watched The Leftovers, and him and Chrissy really liked it too.
great. Yeah.
So just throwing that out.
How about you, Ben? Watch anything?
Yes, I watched Aliens this week by James Cameron.
The second one?
Yeah. He only did the second one. You know why?
Why did he only do the second one?
Why did I want to watch a James Cameron action movie? What am I doing this weekend that I wanted to get ready for?
Oh, watching Way of the Water.
That's right.
Boo.
As we sit here, I'm about 21 and a half hours away from finding out the way of water. Finding out how it do, what its ways are.
Are there any reviews in for it? Not
Yeah.
that the starting reviews are always accurate, but
Yeah. It's generally people who thinking it's pretty good to like, oh my God.
okay, wow.
I heard basically the same exact thing that I heard about the first one, that it's visually breathtaking, blah, 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 blah. But plot structurally, I don't know if that's is
Yeah.
A
not
little light on the plot.
Yeah, a little light on the plot.
That's
which-
what he does. He makes at this point, he makes like pretty basic things to hang all his stuff over. Which is fine with me. I'm excited to get wet with Jimmy.
I also watched a James Cameron movie recently that I didn't know was James Cameron.
Piranha 2?
No, close though, kind of. Rambo 2.
He wrote that.
Yeah.
I was
There's
on the strength of
I did not know that.
I like HBO Max was like shoving it into my face, and I was like, I don't know, I've never watched this. So then it came up, and it was James Cameron. I was like, fucking really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were shoving it in your face.
All right, from the most technically advanced movie ever released to a hand-drawn movie from the 70s. Let's get into The Hobbit. This I used to watch a lot as a kid. It was something that I probably haven't watched since then, though, so I didn't remember that much of it, but I watched it like it was one of the things in rotation as a kid for sure.
I've actually apparently never seen the animated Hobbit movie. I have distinct memories of watching an animated Hobbit movie. This wasn't the movie I watched, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never seen this before.
I guess there's a lot of CGI in the Peter Jackson one, so some animation.
It would have been funny if I'd seen this. Yeah, I hadn't seen any of the other Lord of the Rings, but that animated Hobbit movie from 1977.
Yeah, it's not even so. This is
Slaps.
I guess even before we do the plot summary, just say off the top, this is one that we had 4 episodes, so obviously Lord of the Rings, that's 3 episodes.
Mhm.
And then, okay, we should do a Hobbit. And like Peter Jackson made his Lord of the Rings movies before the Hobbit, we'll do the Lord of the Rings movies before we do the Hobbit. But let's do this one that's only 78 minutes long because we all earned a shorter movie, I think, to cover.
I
for
think it
this
makes sense too, because the other option was either watch one of the 3 Hobbit movies or all 3 of them crammed into one episode.
Right, yeah.
Saved yourself 9 hours.
Mhm.
And sure, we did that with The Matrix, but this is The Hobbit. We had a different option for this.
It is funny you bring up the hand-drawn thing, because when I watched it, I had like a weird thought that I was, damn, cartoons used to just literally be like animated comic books. Like it just really feels like somebody's reading me a book and there's like pictures that go with it.
I love the style in this. It feels like the backgrounds are mostly watercolor, I think.
Yep.
And then I think like definitely the fire and like Smaug's fire seems like oil paint. I don't know, but it seems like most of the backgrounds are watercolor. It's a very good looking movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It is. I think the only thing I didn't like is there was something about Bilbo. I don't know if it was his face. There was just something I did not like about him.
They made a lot of strong choices with noses in this movie.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
The trolls were mostly nose.
They were mostly nose. The dwarves, they had a lot of forehead stuff going on with the dwarves. That I was like,
you got a lot of forehead stuff going on, my guy.
like,
that guy has like skull bones.
Yeah. I think I did feel with like some of the characters that they seemed like almost not connected in their world. Like the men looked very different than everybody else. You know what I mean? Like
it's very funny when they get to Lake Town. You're like, oh, you can make just like normal dudes.
And then like compared to like
you've been holding back these normal dudes the whole movie.
Yes, compared to like the elves and the dwarves, like they were all so vastly like they were drawn so vastly different. And the goblins, like everybody was, you know what I mean?
I feel like there's a lot of like stylistic differences. One of the things that was definitely criticized for at the time, this was a thing that Rankin Bass did with a lot of their movies. This was outsourced the animation part of it to Topcraft, which was a Japanese studio who actually has a ton of collaborations with Rankin Bass at the time. This comes out in 1977. Topcraft would go bankrupt and sort of what's the word? It stopped existing.
Dissolve.
Yeah, it dissolved in, I think, like 84, 85, after putting out Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki, who worked there. And then he and a couple other people from Topcraft formed Studio Ghibli. So this is the sort of nascent form of, this is the chrysalis that Studio Ghibli came out of. And some of the other people who didn't join made a different thing that got absorbed into Disney. Then Disney had their partnership with Ghibli, so they all came back together. And
that's kind of funny.
I am going to say Ghibli or Ghibli differently every time.
Perfect.
You can find endless amounts of evidence for either pronunciation.
Amazing.
Anyway, so that's all stuff that we might have to cut because we haven't done a 1-minute plot summary yet.
No.
Either of you guys want to take it? It's just The Hobbit, so
I'll let you.
I'll do it. Okay, so our adventure starts. Gandalf comes to Bilbo Baggins and says they need a burglar for their adventure. They're going to steal treasure from the dragon Smaug, who took it from a dwarf king and some of the dwarf's descendants, and other dwarfs are coming to get it. They go on this adventure to get to this mountain. Along the way, they're running into goblins and all kinds of problems, and either Gandalf or Bilbo keep saving them. Bilbo kind of becomes a little more confident in his burgling abilities, which are kind of made up as he goes. He's more along because he wants to go on an adventure. Along the adventure, notably, he bumps into Gollum and gets the ring. He uses that to help him along his adventure by going invisible. Eventually get to the mountain. He steals some gold from Smaug and kind of teases Smaug about it. Smaug thinks he's from the nearby town and goes to destroy the town. The townspeople kill Smaug, and then armies from all the groups they've met along the way show up because they all feel like the gold is theirs. There's a big battle for the gold, and in the end, the armies join together to fight off the goblin army, and the dwarfs realize they were wrong in trying to hoard all the gold, and Bilbo says, okay, my adventure's done, and he returns home with Gandalf. The end.
Gandalf's like, you got no idea what's coming next.
Gandalf's like, I definitely know this is that evil ring.
It was really fun. Like, he basically ends it with like, all right, no, by the way, you're in a prequel.
Prequel, by the way.
You may think your story's over, and basically your story is over, but the story, no. Much more to say. Yeah, so I don't know if we need to even in this movie. There's a lot in this movie. I don't even know if we need to caveat it anymore, but like none of us are Tolkien scholars. Obviously, there's a lot of adaptation changes, streamlines, and stuff they just leave out in this version. But I still like it. What did you guys think of this movie?
I liked it, and I will say I'm not a Tolkien scholar, but this is one of the books that I've probably read like 7 or 8 times. So it is one of my favorite, like whatever. But I enjoyed it. I thought the movie was pretty good. I did have a little bit of trouble keeping my attention at some points, but I think
That's what the songs
just
are for.
There you go.
So I enjoyed it. I loved the songs. Even though they were like barely songs. I think the only thing that bugged me was there were some like animation choices and some stylistic choices that I was like, And then obviously like the plots are really, really moving. So you're only getting like the littlest bit of information you need, and I'm like, okay, let's keep going kind of thing. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun, and like I said, the songs really kind of slap.
I think the goblin song, when the dwarfs first get caught by the goblins, I wrote slaps.
Yep.
Down,
This
down
rips.
the goblin town.
Yeah.
It does. I think there was a song with Smog too that I really liked.
They're all good.
They are all good. I was gonna like try and write them down, but I was like, oh no, I don't want. There's too many.
I like those. I didn't love the Greatest Adventure, the like really 70s soft rock one.
Yeah, that one was the only one where I was like,
It was funny though that
was
it kept
funny.
coming back. Anytime Bilbo does something, you just heard the same guy with the same melody come back in.
It's like, should I make a decision? The greatest adventure. All right, I guess I'm just choosing adventure. Damn
Yeah.
diegetic music.
Why can I hear that? Whatever. Yeah, there's some choices. This thing, like you said, they pack a lot in. It has to move. He gets to Gollum and they're doing like the riddle contest, I think by minute 26 or something. So like we gotta go.
They
Like,
made,
he already has the ring by then.
made some interesting artistic choices on Gollum, who is best described as a frog bear.
Yeah, he's like a horrible frog.
He
It's
is.
just like a frog covered in fur. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of liked him though.
I like
honestly,
him. I like him.
I did. I liked him.
I
You
thought
know what? I like that guy.
I thought he was I didn't dislike him.
I like
just
the
it
cut
was
of his
just
jib.
interesting to see the two directions because like
Yeah.
I like the other Gollum better. Like that was a good. But for a
Yeah.
cartoon, what are you gonna really do? Like,
Yeah, my thought was like, had I not seen the other ones and just saw, you know what I mean, Gollum, I'd be like, oh, this is like a cool monster dude. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is this guy?
yeah.
And when you see the other one, you're also like, hey, this is a cool monster dude. What the hell is this guy? So like,
Yeah.
I don't know that. I thought he was fun.
Yeah.
He was weird though.
The Peter Jackson version being like, what if someone was way too old and malnourished, right? And this being like, what if someone was a furry frog monster? So those are the directions you can go in. And obviously there's, myriad adaptations of these, but those are the two that we're covering. So that's what we're talking about right now. I like a lot of this. The songs, the first one starts, I think, when the dwarves get to his house and they're talking about like, this motherfucker hates it when you crack his plates.
Yes.
He's so weird. You
And I was
can't
like, oh,
break his
yeah.
stuff. He gets all mad about it.
Don't think I remember there were songs in this one. And turned out there was a lot of them.
There's a lot of songs.
I think that's the only time that there's like characters on screen who are doing the singing, maybe.
I think so. The rest of the time, it's just like disembodied voice. Yeah.
So that song's actually in the book, so don't you worry. It also makes an appearance in the Peter Jackson adaptation.
I've seen the first Hobbit movie.
Oh, okay.
It's what, like, fuck up his plates, crack his shit. That's what he hates.
Yeah, that's what Bilbo Baggins hates.
Fuck up his shit. That's what Bilbo Baggins.
Well, that's the rap cover, but
Oh.
Yeah, fucking shit up. He hates that. It feels like really judgy. Like, can you believe this guy?
I came into his house and just started
14 uninvited people who came to his house and started
Eating
breaking
food.
all his stuff, and he has a problem with it.
he's so
He-
uptight.
all that food's gonna be bad by the time he gets back anyway.
That's fair. It's gonna be auctioned off by his relatives.
Man,
They declare him dead. He comes back when they're doing like an auction for all of his
Yeah.
stuff.
No.
so this is, I mean, as a book that you've read, you said 7 or 8 times. This is probably like the one opportunity we'll have to talk about The Hobbit in general. Tone very different from Lord of the Rings, which Tolkien later said he kind of regrets, making it kind of like so silly at times.
Oh, I
And-
guess. See, my thing was like this was a book that I could actually read in like 8th grade, and then I
Right,
tried to
yeah.
move on and read The Lord of the Rings. And for an 8th grader, that was like and I loved reading, so that was for me to be like, no, I can't read this. it would have been like trying to pick up Game of Thrones. I really do need to go back to it now that I'm an adult, but like,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common experience, but he was sort of like, it's too much silliness in there, but I think people like that. He tried to go back and make a new version until someone's like, people really love the one that you already made, and this isn't that anymore.
and even
He
like,
did make some changes to account for like the stuff that carries over the ring lore and whatnot, right? So
yeah, but and like even without his like thought, I don't know, it makes sense that the prequel would have a happier tone because there hasn't been 40 additional years of darkness.
Right,
Like there's a lot that would go into like it making sense, and the fact that people just love it as is. Like, why would you fuck that up? But
yeah, and plus with Bilbo at the center, and I feel like this adaptation does a really good job of capturing how little he like is that arsed by anything that's happening. He's just like, oh, whatever. I guess this is happening now.
yes,
I'm about to be eaten by trolls. You guys should run away.
I guess I have to do this. I like my contract was vague on several points.
the troll scene definitely kind of annoyed me a little bit because that wasn't at all like Bilbo was the hero of that. Like he slipped away, and then instead of like staying by the fire, like instead of running away when the trolls were arguing about how to cook them, he would chime in and like try to make a troll voice and be like, no, cook them this way instead. And he kept them arguing until daybreak. I don't know what the fuck they were like, and it's day now? And I was like, wait, no, Gandalf can't just make it day
I was
now.
going to say Gandalf
Gandalf
just
can
did
make it day
magic.
now.
Yeah.
It was just
Gandalf
like,
kept saving them in this one.
Remember in Two Towers where he's riding down that hill and he makes it become daytime?
Yes.
Where it's like, I don't even think anybody like it, for like even a D&D ability, that's like a supreme deity
OP.
level, like, oh, it's just day. You've changed the entire, like, this
Yeah.
is.
It's like little kid logic, or like if you're a DM and you're like, ooh, I have these enemies and they're super strong, but their one weakness is sunlight. And someone's like, I can make the sun.
Yes. I think that'd be like a wish, probably.
Yeah,
I don't
make,
know
like
how you
make
just
morning
change the time.
happen.
Fast forward time.
That's an insane ability. But all right.
It is quite a bit of agency to take away from Bilbo in that moment. But
Yeah.
I guess you're also maybe thinking like, well, the movie's only 10 minutes long. We can't have him be heroic
I was
yet.
gonna so like what they got like 3 minutes to have him try to like delay them till daytime.
He literally had like 25 seconds is what they could probably spare for him because that's how long Gandalf took less time than that. You know what I mean?
I'm here
like-
and it's day. Okay.
There's the sun, motherfuckers. And he's just like flying in.
They were like, no, it's fine. Bilbo was just like checking out the shit instead. He was being a good burglar. All right, I guess that works.
I do love that they show up and only call him Burglar Baggins, and he's eventually like, okay, I have an issue with this. Why do you keep calling me that?
Burglar Baggins.
And you're like, oh, that's your whole deal, right? And he's like, I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Does he not know Gandalf in the book and in the other movie?
No, he knows Gandalf. He's been around before.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that Gandalf shows up and he's like, hey, dude, you got some work to do.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm Gandalf.
I have
What?
no idea who you are. Yeah, you're a burglar now. Come on, bitch.
he does basically do that anyway, and then Gandalf tells him like, no, he tells him he doesn't want to do it. And Gandalf goes, okay, and then he draws a mark on his door anyway that says everybody meet here, and the dwarves just show up and start walking into his house, and he's like, what the fuck? I said no.
Yeah, you get the real feeling that he is like shanghaied into this operation in this adaptation of it, because it really is like Bilbo's just like hanging out outside his front door, like, oh, I wonder what today's gonna bring. And Gandalf shows up and he's like, here's your life now, bitch.
You're a burglar.
Yeah,
He immediately gets really intense with him when Bilbo's asking some fairly natural questions and follow-ups. He's immediately doing like the lightning-eyed thing.
yes, he's immediately yelling at him.
Do it now.
You already agreed to this, pretty much.
hmm And then the dwarfs show up and they have way too much forehead. Although I grew to like it. By
You got to
the end.
differentiate it. The hobbits are round. They are stretched.
Yes.
Very round. He was very, very round.
I kept thinking that too. Like Bilbo is like circular.
Like every part of him looks like the artist just used circles. Like, you know, when you have like the circle tube that tool you can just like on paint.
Yes.
That's how they made Bilbo.
Yeah. Story-wise, though, it's a cool story. I like that. So here's a fun fact. Not to get too deep into the cast right now. They go see Elrond. The guy who plays Thorin was also the voice of Captain Hook in Peter Pan.
Oh, really?
The guy who plays Elrond played Captain Hook on the stage version of Peter Pan.
All right.
So they got all the Captain Hooks they could for this.
We need as many as possible. I actually like the way they drew Elrond. That he's just like he has like a sparkly hat.
I was just saying, I love that he just has like a star that circles his head, I guess.
Yeah, is that a hat or is that just happening like in the room?
I really liked it.
Like a vaguely magical. It's like, yeah, how do we like display Elrond's gravitas? Give him a gravitational field.
Yeah.
He has his own stars that circle his head.
Yeah. He has a constellation on him.
All right, yeah, no, that's an impressive magic man.
One of the armies is elves later, right? Like
yes.
They're the Mirkwood elves.
Yeah, they look
wood elves.
Yeah, wood elves. They look nothing like Elrond.
Whereas Elrond just looks like a dude.
Wood elves are basically like the trailer trash of the elf communities.
they looked horrible. So
yes, they look horrible.
More froggish people.
I think it's actually like, I mean, it's all dealt with in a song, but they get to the wood elves and Bilbo like breaks them out, but that's like weeks later, right?
Yeah, he says it had been weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all like one of their 35-second long songs that explains a lot of stuff.
They did a really good job with that. I did think it was really funny, like in a weird way, where they just were like, what are ruins? Ancient writing. Okay. Like 15 minutes later. Moon ruins? What are the ruins that only show up in the moon? Okay. Keep going.
We're just building knowledge here. That's it. One
Let's
direction.
go. We got things to do here.
All right. Keep moving.
Fun, jaunty little songs to sing.
So after Rivendell, they go into the mountains. They run into the goblins.
Oh, Rivendell is just one house.
Yeah, Rivendell is one house. It's just Elrond.
Much less impressive than in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but you should see what lives in the galaxy.
That's where the other elves are.
When they first see that like valley, I was like, oh, it's like a dirty stream with a hut. And they were like, Rivendell.
It's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That's a good point.
And I was like, oh, maybe I looked at the wrong thing. And they show it one more time. I went, oh, nope.
No, it's just Elrond's house, and he lives alone. But he knows what swords are named, and that becomes important later, I guess.
It does. It does.
So they go up into the mountains. The goblin sequence I really like. I think the goblins look incredible.
Yeah, goblins were one of the very well done things in the movie.
Yep.
They look very like when No Face goes into like full monster mode and Spirited Away.
Yes.
They kind of has the same, obviously they don't look like that, but it has a lot of the same like lines, like when the main goblin king is like yelling and it's sort of all like the lines in his mouth and stuff. That feels very Ghibli.
I don't want to bring it back here again, but they're kind of toad-like.
They are pretty toad-like.
Like the mouths particularly.
Yeah, they got big mouths.
They got very big mouths. But I feel like goblins should be toad-like.
That whole sequence, I mean, it probably takes less than 2 minutes, but it's so cool. The song's maybe the best song in the movie, and I think the goblins look cool.
Down, the goblin down.
Exactly.
Down,
Yes,
down,
that's it.
Down.
And then they start going down, and like, yeah,
it is a good
they're
song.
nailing it.
Slap. Are you going to show this movie to Ren? Is the question.
I tried. She didn't want to watch it.
Oh, really? I was gonna say it's definitely kid aimed. Maybe not super young kids.
It's I think a little too.
There's a lot.
Give her a couple.
There's a lot happening, and I think she had too many. She couldn't quite follow along.
I think especially if you think like it's if a movie starts and they introduce a character to you, you probably assume that's important. And this movie introduces 15 named characters in the first 90 seconds.
Yes. 15. Yes. I think.
And if you're a kid, you're like, this must be important, but I already forgot which one's which.
Mm-hmm. It would have helped if the people sang the songs. I think she likes it when the people are singing the songs. If it's just like background music, it's not the same.
Probably just like ignores it.
I think so.
Much like the characters do. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when she's a little older.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is one that I watched a lot as a kid. There were many times.
Yeah, I mean, she's only 3. Yeah.
Stupid. It's a stupid age.
You're probably thinking like 6 to 8.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got no experience. Yeah. So then, they get out of the goblin place
because Gandalf
shows up.
He's like, every time they're about to die, Gandalf's like,
Gandalf.
I'll fix this.
Get out of here. The dwarf just drops Bilbo into a giant hole that he I got over, like, where did this whole come from? Like, they were walking straight, and then Bilbo falls off his back, and then just immediately.
Why was he carrying Bilbo? Everybody else is running.
Bilbo can run. He doesn't have much shorter legs than they do.
No.
Negligible.
As we know, though, dwarves, they are excellent sprinters.
Natural sprinters.
Natural sprinters.
Yeah.
That's why.
Hobbits are not. They're round.
Yes.
They're natural hole fallers.
Rollers.
Rolled it right. It was just a small, and he rolled right into it.
Oh no!
I do like their little sequence with Gollum. I know we mentioned he is
good.
He's weird. He's really weird looking.
I like that he's just in his dumb canoe.
He's in his dumb canoe. Yeah. He's dumb. You know.
He's an idiot. He's got a stupid canoe. It's fucking gross. The amount of interesting people involved in this movie is kind of surprising to me doing research about it. As a kid, I didn't know all these people, obviously, but we already mentioned, like, from the production side, Rankin Bass being really a big deal for animation, and especially in America, and with all their TV specials for Christmas. And this obviously being a Rankin Bass TV special, we had to do it for Christmas. Naturally, this was the pick.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is a lot of the voice cast is also surprisingly maybe overqualified or just like really interesting. The guy who plays Gollum, his name is credited as Theodore with no other name in this. He mostly went by Brother Theodore throughout his career. He's a German-American performance artist. He did what he called stand-up tragedy. He's a really interesting dude that a lot of like New York media types were like really into. And a guy who we could, if we wanted to really dig in and dedicate a lot of time to. And in fact, there is a documentary about him and his weird art. So,
and he took a 2-minute role in this movie.
Rankin Bass is like, well, who are we going to get to play Gollum? Obviously, the fringe sadness comedian. That's who we need to play Gollum. But I mean, it's a good pick for Gollum as a type, I guess.
It is.
And he does a great job. But I think that was just how his voice kind of sounded.
That's really funny.
Yeah. I guess while we're stuck on cast, we might as well mention Gandalf's played by John Huston, a guy whose movies I've tried to do a few times. So I've tried to make up multiple excuses to do Maltese Falcon. He directed Maltese Falcon, Treasure of the Sierra Madre. One of the absolute most decorated and legendary and important directors of all time, doing voice acting here for Gandalf. Has the unique distinction of not just winning Academy Awards. I think he won 2 and like got nominated 15 times for Best Director or something. But also directed both his dad and his daughter to Oscar wins in acting. His dad being Walter Huston and his daughter being Angelica Huston from John Wick 3 and The Witches and the Addams Family movies.
Yeah.
So, big, super famous dude who's just voicing Gandalf.
I like the way they drew Gandalf in this. He also does not look like the men from Lake Town.
No, he doesn't.
I feel like the men from Lake Town are like kind of He-Man-y looking. Like they're like really just very...
Literally, my thought was He-Man-ish.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why that was, but that's my pull. I think
it's because of the
muscly and the lines in the face and stuff. Like if they have a lot of sharp lines on them, and like I don't know, they're just too well drawn, I guess. But yeah, Gandalf does not look like those Lake Town guys.
No, so John Huston's doing Gandalf. Another legendary director, Otto Preminger, is doing the Elf King. Who's only in like 2 scenes.
Yeah, it was like 5.
They just picked, I mean, another German American and just a couple Oscar nominations as a director. I guess he did a decent amount of acting and some voice roles, but it is weird to just have Otto Preminger join the fray and go like, "I'm a stupid elf. I hate you."
Well,
I bet whatever voice he's doing.
I bet a lot of these people were just already fans of The Hobbit. Like these were huge books,
Probably,
and this is like the 70s. So this is what 30 years after they came out.
I was gonna say you were like, yeah, this big director they got him to voice Gandalf, but my immediate thought was like, yeah, someone's probably like, you want to be Gandalf, and they're like, yeah, I want to be
Gandalf. Everyone wants to be Gandalf.
Yeah, and I like that even though he's not doing a British accent, he's just doing, I think, his normal voice as Gandalf. It still feels like really similar to how Ian McKellen plays it. In terms of just like, it's, I guess you have like an authoritative wizard vibe going on.
He does.
Yeah.
He's a director.
Probably not as many soft edges, I would think, as Ian McKellen has.
Yeah.
The Gandalf shows up and is immediately screaming at Bilbo like, you have to do this.
He's a bit aggressive in this.
He doesn't have much time.
Yeah,
He's got like an hour.
We gotta go.
He doesn't have as much of the I'm not gonna like
Interfere directly.
interfere directly as much. It's more like I'm gonna constantly interfere directly and I'm gonna yell the whole time.
I am. Yeah, it's a very first Dumbledore versus second Dumbledore.
I think I'm not sure.
This
but I think
is a very much more did you put your name in the goblet of fire version of Old Wizard.
Yes.
It's like after the Gollum scene. Is that when he calls the Eagles?
I think so.
So they get chased by goblins to the forest, which happens around minute 36 or so. It's about exactly halfway through that they're on like the fir trees and there's the song about those birds look stupid.
Yeah.
Look at those dumb birds. We're gonna eat them. And that's when the eagles come, which I'm calling out specifically because that's where the first Peter Jackson Hobbit movie ends, I believe.
Yes, I think the Eagles just kind of take them away.
Yeah.
Yes, and this one's that takes 36 minutes in this movie. Just saying, PJ.
Yeah, kind of jarring when the eagle talks. No, did not.
I think
it.
both the eagle and then we'll get to Smog too. That they're not doing like I'm fantasy and stuff. It's just like, hey Gandalf, I owed you one. Don't worry about it. I'm an eagle.
Yes, he just got a regular voice. He just talks.
He just talks.
The dragon especially sounded just like your classic like high school bully, I guess. I don't
Where are you?
I'm gonna eat you. I'm a dragon.
You must be from Lake Town. I'm gonna go fuck those people up.
Bilbo does not correct.
Bilbo's like, oh, nope, you're wrong. But not very convincingly. Kind of like, oh no, don't go to Lake Town. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that the voice cast is either really famous people or people like who are just, I guess, in the 70s, just these people who are just on, the talk show circuit. Orson Bean, who plays Bilbo, is a guy who I think he was on the Tonight Show with Carson like 200 times or something.
Oh wow,
Orson Bean, a great Hobbit name, but a weird stage name. His born name is like Dallas Burrows or something. And then he picked Orson Bean as a stage name.
that's weird. That's
I think he just
weird.
wanted to play little weirdos.
that Orson Bean works for that.
They're not. I think his name's like Dallas Frederick Burrows. It's like, oh, they're never going to let me play a little weirdo with that name.
Well,
No.
it might have worked at his disadvantage too. Like if people were looking at his name and like making an assumption of like, oh, okay, he's gonna be our cool action star. Like he
Yeah.
probably wasn't getting the offers he wanted.
I was
Oh.
thinking that because he has like an action name.
Dallas definitely is yeah.
Yep. So they go into Mirkwood. They get Spider accosted.
Like immediately.
Bilbo's like, I know what to do.
The camera is spinning a lot now.
Yeah, they're doing some experimental techniques
Yeah.
with the animation. Yes, because of the spider eyes. Even though when you just see their eyes, they're not like reticulated; they're just an eye.
No.
Interesting sequence. I think those spiders look bad. I don't like them, but like they look like successful for what they were trying to do. But I don't like those spiders.
Yeah. There were like there's some stuff with the animation that was like, this is kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah. So Bilbo knocks a spider on the head with the rock, gets everybody out. I guess that buys him enough time to do that.
Yeah.
They all run away. He does his invisibility tricks with Sting.
Yeah.
Sting, 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 sting.
Yes. He goes real hard on naming it, and then like I'm gonna get the most out of this name.
And I mean, he's able to like fight off 3 big spiders with doing his fancy sting tricks. And Frodo can't take one. Come on, this is messed
Right.
up.
I think it was a significantly bigger spider.
I don't know. They seem pretty big, and there was 3 of
Wasn't
them.
Bilbo invisible though?
Yeah. Oh, Frodo
Has
couldn't have gotten
advantages.
invisible. Sora would have just been like, oh, he's like in my backyard.
There he is.
Wait a second.
He's right there.
Oh, great! That guy's like he's a 2-minute walk from one of my big towers.
Yeah, it's like this part. He's like
Not
at
the
my
biggest tower,
back
but
door?
a pretty big tower.
There he is.
Yeah, fortunately, that's not how the ring worked yet when Tolkien wrote this.
The explanation is that Sauron didn't have as much power at that point.
Right. I hope he had like a little, so he's like, fuck, he's right over there.
He did have a little. Well, I mean,
but he just couldn't tell anybody.
Well, no, he did. He told Sauron, and then like they had been plotting in secret for quite a while in like breeding and all of that. They weren't breeding, but they were breeding.
They got it on.
They got it on a little bit, but yeah, that's what was going on while The Hobbit was happening.
That makes sense. Yeah, don't hesitate to correct us on stuff.
I've realized they stepped on your joke, and I felt bad because you weren't.
It wasn't a good enough joke to not step on with correct information.
Okay,
correct information is more satisfying than a bad joke.
Fair.
So yeah, they go out of the spider cave directly into the frying pan.
It's the name of the chapter. It's out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit. Great minds think alike, I guess. What else get them? And they're bad dudes. Otto Preminger's going, I'm a fucking elf. Fuck you. So you were obviously trying to kill me.
They don't do this in either Hobbit movie, but in the book, like the Mirkwood thing is very much extended, and they're basically losing their minds at that point, and they see a party in the woods of the Wood Elves, and they keep chasing after them, and they disappear right when they get there. And so by the time the Wood Elves showed up, they were like, all right, you ruined our dinner party 3 times. You pissed off all the spiders, and now they're just like going fucking crazy. You're under arrest.
That makes more sense than like a bunch of hobbits very weak and disoriented running out of a cave and immediately being arrested.
Yeah, their thing was like they were supposed to stay on the path. They left the path to chase the elves. And then by even coming across the spiders, now the spiders are all agitated. And like the Wood Elves had to go fucking, they're like, we know where the spiders are. We leave them alone and they stay over there. But now they're just, you know what I mean? So they did have like a small case, but they were just dicks. But sorry.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And again, these guys, they look terrible.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it, a little toadish.
They are a little toadish. So in their defense, if I was an elf and then I got stuck being like that elf, I would be mad too.
Oh, an elf? So I'm like really fit and beautiful? Kind of.
You get to see like Elrond with his cool one-person house.
Yeah. We all share a house, and none of us have stars floating around.
He gets to be a handsome dude with a star, and we're told people that live in a swamp.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be mad too. I would be a little short with people.
Yeah, they are a little short too. They also are like dwarf size. They didn't seem to be very much bigger.
They were a bit bigger, but not by much. Whereas again, it's not like the people who adapted this think that elves are tiny because Elrond's just a dude.
He's just a regular dude. Him and Gandalf were about the same size.
The Wood Elves, I feel like, were very hunchy, though. I mean, they were always like kind of hunched
it's
over.
The evil.
Yeah.
It's the evil. It's racking their bodies with evil. Then they escape in the barrels. They go down river.
They complain, and Bilbo says something about that. That's not in my contract.
It wasn't in my contract to give you like 5-star accommodations.
I will say they did that joke from the first movie really good with the very long contract, but he kept bringing up the contract. And it's like, bro, the contract was literally 5 sentences. Like it wasn't supposed to be a all binding. Like
my contract was vague on several points. That was like my favorite line in the whole movie, I think.
It's true. So they go to there and what was I going to say? Oh yeah, they go to Lake Town and Bard is there and he looks like it's the people who drew He-Man drew him and the other humans there. Bad idea for a town. And like the voiceover from Bilbo's like, yeah, man, they live right next to Smaug's Mountain. They don't care.
Yeah, their whole town is wood.
Whole town was wood.
Well, they were smart about it. They built it in the middle of the lake to put out the fires.
Yeah, well,
I was wondering that honestly. Also, Lake Town, very small, like Rivendell. It's like 8 houses in a circle.
There's like 10 people live here. Not
like
that many people live in this world.
Kind of situation.
No. I think just throughout the movie until the actual war happens, Gandalf kills about 5% of the world's population.
It seems like just doesn't directly intervene my Yes.
He's just culling huge swaths of beings from the planet.
Behold the great city of Rivendell. Do you mean Elrond's house?
Elrond's place.
Lake
It's not a lot
Town.
of people. I get to call it a town.
Lake Town. It's more like a lake cul-de-sac.
Lake neighborhood. So they leave Lake neighborhood and go up the mountain to Smaug's house, to Lonely Mountain, right? That's this mountain in particular. They're like, this fucking sucks. We came to a dead end. And then Bilbo's like, oh yeah, that one thing, the literal one thing I had to remember is happening now. They go in through the back door. The dwarves, which in this adaptation do nothing the whole movie.
Absolutely nothing.
They
Nothing.
don't fight. They don't.
Nope. They do nothing.
They don't really pathfind for themselves. It's a lot of Gandalf doing that and then giving them directions when he has to leave. And so they go in, except they don't. They make Bilbo go in. And he meets Smaug, who looks insane.
Smaug looks crazy. Like,
I guess he's kind of cat-like.
he's kind of cat-like. He's furry, right? He's got like a fur on his back.
It's one of those furry dragons.
Also incredibly round. Incredibly round.
He's got a very long neck and cat head, but then the body, slug-like.
It's just a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still can't decide if I really liked the way he was drawn or was really disturbed by it.
It's hard to know, too, because this is now, 50-ish years ago almost. So, 45 on the dot just about? Is that just what the popular image of dragons were at the time, or were these people like off the deep end?
I don't want to be a loser, but the first thing I noticed when I was like, he's actually a dragon this time, I saw in the Hobbit movies, he's not a dragon.
Oh, he's a worm.
Because the arms.
He doesn't have, he's a wyvern. He doesn't, or whatever. He doesn't have enough arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
They gave him enough arms this time.
Yeah. And he's like, check out my belly. And then Bilbo sees that he's got like a big bald spot there.
A big bald spot. It's they like zoom the enhancing.
Yeah.
Enhancing.
He's missing one
enhancing.
scale.
And in Smaug's defense, Bilbo is infuriating in this scene.
Yeah, he's very cocky at this point.
This is not the vibe Bilbo's been giving off this movie.
No, he's going off about his titles that he's given himself. Nobody's mentioned any of these titles. He's got like 50 of them now.
He's like semi-translucent, but he says one of them and he like does like a fun spin, and you're like, okay, Bilbo.
Yeah,
That spins for no one because you're invisible right now.
In the book, it's a lot more charismatic, and it's more of like he's flattering Smaug, and then like the titles he comes up with, because it's after Smaug gives his titles, and he's like, these are mine, and he's intentionally trying to keep them like Riddle-like. They did mention that because he wanted to keep them distracted, but in the movie, they're just like, what up, Smaug, you big fucking asshole? Oh no!
Smells like bitch in here, Smaug.
You're just the most glorious thing ever. And he's like, okay, you little shit.
Yeah, he comes off so aggressive.
Doesn't riddle back at all. He goes, okay, whatever, take what you want, I guess. And then he's like, no, I'm gonna fuck with you. And so I was like, okay, where are you? Because you're being a real dick to me right now. And that's what he sounds like too. He doesn't.
Bilbo's instantly on land mode when he's like, it's like a Call of Duty lobby. Smaug's like, give me your address, you fucking nerd.
1v1 me.
1v1.
Yeah,
it's so true,
it's
though.
Such a weird turn for Bilbo, who like, okay, he's coming into his abilities. He did get them out of the spider situation and out of the wood elf place.
Yeah,
but
he's confident in his burglaring.
But this is beyond that.
Also, the magic bird is following him at this point.
And also, like, what was his? So in the book, obviously, he's distracting him, right?
Yes.
But in this, it seems like he really did just go in to grab some treasure and leave.
In the book, he went in for the Arkenstone.
Right, because they take the Arkenstone out of this.
Yeah, Arkenstone just doesn't exist.
So that's why it's such a weird kind of seemingly pointless interaction
And
from Bilbo's perspective.
They decided to replace it with like all the treasure he could have grabbed, just like a regular like ceramic cup. It was like
Yes.
blue.
I
It wasn't
thought-
like gold.
And
or anything.
and they don't come back to it, but when he leaves and he's like, I got this, and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're like all thrilled. I'm like, dude, that's just from our dining room.
When,
Yeah, they
when
take
he
out
said I
Bjorn
got
and
this,
the
I thought the
Arkenstone, right?
dwarfs were going to be like, that's a regular cup, and like yell at him. But they were like, whoa.
I'm just like, what is that like made out of sapphire? Is that what
So
we're
they're
supposed
like,
to like?
okay, I know there's a whole mountain of treasure in there. What'd you get? this one cup.
So you couldn't even put some coins in it.
That was my thinking. Yeah, like put a jewel in there or something.
Something. It's just like, did you think that was the Holy Grail or like?
That part was so funny to me because he just riles him up. Like at a certain point, you believe the intention is
to fuck up Lake Town.
to fuck up Lake Town. Yeah, I'm gonna get this guy so mad, make him think I'm from Lake Town, offer very little resistance to that idea, and then Smug's like, I'm gonna go fuck up Lake Town. He's like, aha, all the treasure's for me.
Hey, I was fucking up Lake Town, you big bitch. I wasn't even from there, you idiot.
Yeah.
He's really mad dogging Smog in this one.
He does. And the whole time I was thinking too, if Smog just starts breathing fire randomly, I'm like, you're probably just doing it. One thing that bothered me a little bit, his fire doesn't make any noise. Did you guys catch that?
I didn't.
When he breathes fire, there's no sound effect with it.
I think there is a thing with this movie that there's a ton of missing sound effects.
Oh, is there?
And some like where did you stream it from?
Prime.
I streamed it on Apple. I don't remember there not being sound effects, but I don't remember there being them either. So I think I don't know that that's even one of the things that's like a famously missing sound effect. But I know some, versions and printings of this don't have
really
some sound effects that other ones do.
When I was trying to find the non-existent Hobbit movie I watched, I did come across that article where it's when they did the 2001 remaster, some of the sound effects and poured over.
Yeah. So maybe that was part of it. It looks pretty good, this print, but that I watched on Apple, but there was a couple times I was like, ooh, this part's really damaged. But for the most part, it didn't bother me. It looked pretty good.
No, I thought it was fine.
So yeah, Smog kills not that many people. He gets to Lake Town. Bard immediately takes
people that live there.
Right, yeah, that's true. He takes out half of the population, which is 3 people. Bard gets that one shot off with his black arrow.
Hell yeah.
Which I love is like, I'm sure in the books it's different, but I love that he's just like, well, I got my special arrow. Seems like a good time to use it.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
even
oh,
remember.
yeah, I get it.
I don't even remember if the black arrows were in the books, but I guess they must have been because they're in both movies. I didn't specifically remember like that being a focus. In the book, it wasn't in either movie either. Smog's stomach is so fortified because he's been sleeping on the gold for so long that his carcass is just covered in jewels and gems and stuff.
That makes more sense.
There is the one missing scale from the first shot, but yeah,
that makes more sense.
I thought that was such a cool detail, and I was kind of disappointed, especially in the Peter Jackson ones. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, that's so cool. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Benedict Cumberbatch couldn't mocap that part of it.
I guess that's it.
The Smog's fire it is missing. In some versions of it, his fire has no sound for some reason.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we had that
I
context.
was like, why is this fire quiet? I feel like you should have like a crackling or
Silent, but that's
it's kind of haunting that way.
While we're talking about sound real quick, the noise the ring makes I like a lot.
Yeah.
Every time it does.
Yeah.
Somebody
Very like typical like fantasy sci-fi sound effects.
Well, this is so old. Somebody probably listened to that and was like, all right, now put that in every video game ever whenever you do something.
Yeah, you're totally right. This is the first time anyone used that sound.
It's totally possible. But like, this is probably one of the earlier fantasy things that ever was made on media, no?
I don't well in like movie form?
Yeah.
I mean Snow White's like the 30s.
I don't know if I'd call that. Oh, I guess that's
So it was
definitely
like
in between.
So it was like
fantasy.
Sleeping Beauty, which has a dragon.
okay.
And that was like, I know it's been 45 years since this came out, but that was after Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, jeez. And then Spider-Verse came out.
And that was it. That was the end of time.
That's it. Done.
Yeah, so this is I don't know, this is a cool movie. So yeah, then the 5 armies happen, and every time an army shows up, Bilbo's like, another army. There's like 4 now.
He keeps counting every time, and I'm like, what is happening?
The Eagles show up, and he's like, 5 armies.
How many armies was that? 1, 2.
2 armies. 3 armies.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bilbo.
Thanks, Bilbo. The sequence before it's just like is very funny when Bard shows up and he's like, town's gone, but they made me king. of the men, and Bilbo's like, "Oh, congratulations! Couldn't happen to a nicer person." It's like, "Ooh, this is obviously a pre-battle parlay, Bilbo. Come on,
Yeah. Read the room.
read the room."
Oh, congrats! We should get drinks sometimes.
And,
Well,
and he's
there's
like,
more.
"I'm not the only one here." Yeah. And Otto Preminger shows up, going, "I'm a fucking elf still. I'm gonna kill you. It's for me."
Look at my army. Whoa, look how many black dots there are. I really like they just did. We're like, no, we can't animate this.
We can't do that.
No, it's too much.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. His cousin comes, the Thorin's cousin comes, and they put on a good show for a bit, I guess. I don't know. The arm, yeah, like you said, they don't really animate the war part of it.
They don't. It's just a bunch of black dots and like dust.
Yeah, I might have zoned out at the part, but I don't even really remember the battle. I just remember like looking back up.
There's not much of it, yeah.
And then he's just like, "So how many are left?" And he's like 6. I was like, whoa.
Everyone's fucking dead.
They don't really show.
He's like, "Well, what about Thorin? Soon to be 5. Got him."
In their defense, it was 7, soon to be 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when the eagles do come. 5. Wow, that's 5. And they start just picking the goblins up and dropping them. And they animate that with like, you see a bunch of dots just falling out of the sky from dots that are not falling.
Yes.
It's great.
The animation for the army is just so funny.
They're just like, okay, we're in minute 70. We only got 8 more minutes. We got to get through this.
Yeah.
They did cut out that he's in the other Hobbit movies, but there's Born, who's a bear anamorph guy. Like he turns into a bear or a human, but he's a massive bear. And they do a really cool scene in the new one where the eagle drops him as a human and he transforms to a bear and just starts fucking up goblins. It's really, really cool. Sorry. I just felt like
they don't do anything like that in this battle.
Oh.
No.
That does sound cool though.
They got rid of the whole character, so it's a little sad, but
and it's funny, that whole thing is just like the last Peter Jackson Hobbit movie. It's just this one like dot sequence.
Because I knew the last one's like the 5 armies or something, right?
Yeah, the last one pretty much. I think it either starts or ends with Smaug had just been killed, and then it's basically like the elves at the door, the people at the door, and then the armies start showing up. And I think that's where it picks up. But
Yeah, it's crazy that they made 3 separate movies for this.
it should have been 2 at most.
Yeah, even including all of the Silmarillion stuff that he does, you figure like, oof. Anyway, so yeah, the fight ends. Thorin dies, and he's like, "Oh man, I was wrong about some stuff. Said some mean stuff to you, might be," and he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And Bilbo takes off.
Yeah, he takes his 2 bags of treasure. That's it.
Yep.
That's all he'll ever need.
Yeah.
He's a bachelor. He doesn't have dependents.
I mean, it's where does the Shire get gold from? It's probably like all the gold. They're like, "What's this?" And he's like, "It's a currency." And they're like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, the currency here is everyone gets free alcohol, and we, I guess, trade crops.
Yeah.
We're all farmers or gardeners.
It's mostly a barter system, Bilbo. I don't understand why you have money.
That's probably what he was thinking. He's like, "Well, I don't really need money for what I do."
I guess go into town sometime. So.
And plus, he's banking on an advance for his memoirs to really
Yeah.
carry him through.
It's fair. He is the most interesting Hobbit that ever existed. So
that's what Leonard Nimoy says in his song. Bilbo Baggins, the greatest little hobbit of them all.
oh yes.
Huh.
So there's a Leonard Nimoy song about Bilbo.
He's so famous.
Yeah.
And then Gandalf announces to him that he's in a prequel. So in their version, he knows it's that the ring.
Apparently.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, that thing's gonna fuck shit up.
He's like, "I'm gonna put it in a glass box on my mantle." Okay, you little idiot. It's the most dangerous artifact in the world.
Like that he specifically tells him, like, going to be a lot of trouble for people who aren't even born yet that are related to you, but go off, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can put on your mantle. It'd be nice if you're into Mount Doom now. There's no armies ready, but keep it on your mantle for 100 years.
No. I'll think about it for a while.
It is tough, yeah, to retcon that into being like the ring and then be like, well, Gandalf clearly friends with some eagles. They could just go now.
Yeah, I assume.
I know there's I know there's reasons.
In the Lord of the Ring movie, like the one we just watched, Gandalf just didn't know it was. He just assumed it was a magic ring.
Yeah.
But in this one, he knows.
He just knows immediately. I don't know if it's even implied in the book that he knows what it is. I think it's just like a ring.
And there's a lot of magic rings.
He says that. He says there's a lot of magic rings.
It's a ring of plus one.
It is quite a bit of the first, 30-ish minutes of the movies we just watched that he's figuring out that is the ring.
Yes.
Anyway, still, they go home. That's it. You get the songs, The Greatest Adventure. This movie is 77. Around the same time, Ralph Bakshi, another legendary animator, is making a technically animated Lord of the Rings movie that has some really bizarre painted over live action stuff in it. There's a video about it that if you want context on that, you should check out. But Ralph Bakshi, operating around this time, a legendary animator, makes a lot of really crazy stuff that isn't necessarily for kids in animation. And it's weird. One of the guys, he's one of those guys that's like still around. He's like on Twitter now and tweets. And it's just weird to think about because this feels like so long ago that there was people who were, doing things important then that are still around now.
Tweeting.
To them, it probably doesn't feel that long. It's only been 40-something years. But to us, that feels like no one could be possibly alive that was alive in the 70s.
I know, right?
Bringing it up because that animated Lord of the Rings comes out after this. The internet doesn't exist at the time. I'm sure people thought this must be the sequel. They are not similar.
No.
They only do, it was part of a planned 2 movies, but the second one never gets made. So it's really just like the first half of Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
Then Rankin Bass, that was maybe WB or something. So Rankin Bass separately makes a sequel to the Hobbit movie that they just call The Return of the King.
What?
And these all come out in sequence, but only over the course of about 4 years.
Fantastic.
A lot of the cast from the Hobbit movie returns. It's, I think, still John Huston doing Gandalf.
Just in the King, right? They don't return.
It's just Return of the King.
They don't return for the other one because
that's a whole different production.
Whole
different thing. It looks different. It's a different production company, creator, everything. Later on, they would package them together as a trilogy, but only sometimes. And that must have been just one of those things. You think before the internet, that must have been so confusing.
Man.
If you just think like how difficult it was for like parents to buy their kid a Wii when Wii U came out. And you're like, okay, they asked for the Lord of the Rings movies, but these all look wildly different. And yeah, anyway, all that to say, Ralph Bakshi made some really weird shit, and that looks insane. There's a trailer of it if you only want to dedicate a couple minutes to it, worth checking out. Very confusing. But they did make a sequel. It wasn't that well received, but to be fair, neither was this movie, but I still like it. Whatever.
It's definitely fun.
Yeah, definitely fun. Let's get into ratings unless we have anything else to say about the movie.
I don't think so.
See, Greg's just scrolling Twitter over there.
Well, I was looking to see what Rankin Bass had made before this, and it really was a lot of Christmas movies.
Yes.
Because they had Rudolph and Frosty and Santa Claus is Coming to Town and like a lot of other Christmas or holiday themed movies. And then just The Hobbit.
That's really funny because like the vibe in general we've all agreed with is like Lord of the Rings is like a Christmas seat type time movie.
That's why I'm like laughing about it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of... We're doing it for Christmas, and it's like...
And like we even said that before we even saw that. It's not like that influence. No, it's just such a weird, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess he got that vibe too, and he's like, fuck yeah, I want to do The Hobbit.
Add it to my Christmas list.
Well, hey, there's a reason we're doing these at Christmas. These are Christmas movies, and this is a Christmas TV special. I think it aired in July or something.
Perfect.
I guess that's like findable information. I suppose I could just give you the actual date on that, which I didn't have written down. No, okay, all right. Hey, you know what? It aired November 27th, 1977.
That's a Christmas movie.
That's
that is when Christmas movies come out.
That is a Christmas
we
movie.
all know. So this is a Christmas special, the only Rankin Bass Christmas special we will ever cover.
The most well-known, of course.
We're not letting anyone play any reindeer games, including us.
No.
The other movies we kind of had to rush through to fit into a reasonable podcast length. But any final thoughts on like Lord of the Rings or this movie in general? Now that you've watched all these movies, I guess especially to Greg, having not seen them before.
Yeah. And I wasn't thinking about this at the time, but if someone had asked me, I would have said that I expected to feel this way. But now that I'm done, my Lord of the Rings journey is complete because that's it. You know, I knew I was going to do this one.
Back again.
I went there and back again. It is one of those series that is like just so good that once you're done with it, you feel like you have that like hole. Like when you finish a really good long book or something and you're like, something has left your life. I do feel it. And I'm like, oh.
All the Hobbits are on HBO Max.
I was thinking about it, honestly, just because like
I might do it too, just because, you do the same thing. It's just like, I need that contact high, even if it's not the same.
Yes.
Immediately did that after I watched Return of the King. I watched all three of the Hobbits.
So yeah, I'm pumped that I finally saw all the Lord of the Rings stuff. I do want to get some more in. When you were mentioning, I was like, oh, maybe I'll read the books. You know what I mean?
The book is definitely a really good audiobook too.
I was gonna say I wouldn't really read it. I'd listen to an audiobook, but
the audiobook that's on Audible for The Hobbit is narrated by Andy Serkis.
No way.
I think he does voices.
Oh, that's awesome.
Including obviously Gollum's.
Yeah.
When he's doing Gollum.
He doesn't do Gollum.
He doesn't.
We'll hire
the
off
Gollum
that.
part.
Gollum part's done by the guy that did Smaug in this movie.
Yeah. Hey, get away from that ring. It's mine.
Nasty Hobbit-days.
I felt the exact same way after watching Return of the King, which was just like, and I think we said this last time, but it's like the last 20, 30 minutes of Return of the King is such like an emotional like gut punch after gut punch. It really feels like a breakup when you were done watching those movies.
It's funny. I don't know if it was one of you or if it was a Ray, but someone had said like, oh, when you're watching, I wasn't sure if you were going to really like it or if it was going to have that problem where like it has these impossible expectations to go up to. And I thought about it. And I was like, honestly, it didn't. And I think part of it was either because I knew I would like it or like, as I think back, I can't think of a lot of times anyone is ever like, oh, The Lord of the Rings is so good, or anyone ever mentioning how awesome the movies are. And I kind of think it's just one of those things where it's like, well, everyone just knows it's good. You can just talk about it. You don't have to like preface, like be like, it's so good. You
I've never tried to talk somebody into watching Lord of the Rings. Either
you never mentioned to anyone like, oh, this movie's the best or anything like that. It's just like people just talk about The Lord of the Rings. It's just like kind of known that these are high quality.
It's just one of those things where like it's either something you're gonna like or it's not. You know, like, and if you're having a conversation with somebody about it, it's because you're probably already talked about like D&D or any of these other overlapping.
Yeah, and I feel like it's an interesting fit for the podcast because it isn't something that like I've never felt the need to evangelize for these movies because it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm very secure in these being as great as I think they are. I don't feel like I need to get people on my side, which is how I feel honestly like about a lot of the movies that we do on the podcast, where it's like, ooh, what can I trick my friends into watching? Like that's not necessary for the Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Movies.
I think that's what like I didn't have like anything I was trying to expect. And I think it's because nobody's ever sat there and tried to be like, you like,
yeah.
And
I feel like even if we did Star Wars, if you're trying to like sell Star Wars to someone who's never seen it before, I feel like you need to offer so many qualifications and disclaimers. But like with Lord of the Rings, it's just like, yeah, watch those three. Those are the ones, and yeah, check them out.
They're great. By the way, the last one won like the most Oscars ever.
Yeah,
so,
you like
it's
high
not
fantasy?
Just, like, my opinion.
You
Yeah. Just check them out. You've been DMing D&D campaigns for a decade, but have never seen Lord of the Rings. You're probably gonna like it. I don't feel like I need to give you the hard sell.
Is there like a reason why you haven't watched it? Have you never heard of it somehow?
Lord of the Rings.
Been wondering where all this lore backstory
Lord of the
comes
Rings.
from.
That's the one with the boys on the island and they fight.
Yes.
Close.
That's the Hobbit.
Oh.
Man. It is kind of nuts that a fantasy movie won that many Oscars, though. Like it does kind of blow my mind.
Well,
Although I guess Dune did really well too.
It's the only one to win Best Picture, I think. The only fantasy movie. So
Yeah, this you gotta think like.
And we're at year 95.
Once again,
whatever.
I have trouble comparing it to how well Dune did because it didn't feel like Dune did well because I didn't see it win any awards. But like thinking about it, I'm like Dune might. I think Dune only won technical categories. I don't know if they managed to get into like screenplay.
It depends how you feel about music. It won for Best Score.
Score. That's
but that also took place during the the JV ceremony, before the ceremony that wasn't televised.
I don't think I saw it win an award, but I'm not positive.
Well, they peppered those in. They just weren't live.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I didn't see it live win. I don't think it won any.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, these were good movies. You liked watching them. You're happy you've seen them finally.
Yeah, I knew I would be.
Not to put words in your mouth, but that seems pretty clear.
Yes.
Just keep reading off the cue card.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, it's definitely like, I felt like, there's a hole after finishing these, like, oh, my friends, their story's over. I don't get to hang out with my friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When Gandalf at the end of Return of the King says this is where our friendship ends, he's not kidding.
No.
That's how it feels.
You son of a bitch, you're leaving.
Good thing it was this version and not the book one, because it would have been like, I'm leaving, you son of a bitch. Our friendship is over.
Do not cry in front of me. Just slapping Pippin around.
Oh my God. Pippin would not have survived animated Dumbledore.
Yeah,
Animated Dumbledore.
You fool of a took into the well.
Yeah. Showing up to Minas Tirith all bruised and stuff. Gandalf's just been beating him on the head on the ride there.
It's really my fault. I'm a fool of a took.
It's fine. I deserve it.
It makes more sense why he keeps trying to pledge allegiance to different people just to get away from Gandalf. All right, so I'm taking away from this normal Smog and aggressive Gandalf.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Ready for some ratings? I think I'm ready actually.
All right, so just for The Hobbit animated 1977 TV special, on a scale of 0.5 to 5, on a scale of your choosing, later to be entered onto our Letterboxd, what would you guys give this movie?
I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 normal voiced eagles.
Hey, it's me, the eagle guy. I remember you from back in the day. You did me a good solid favor.
Dap it up. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 downs.
Love it. I'm probably at 3.5 out of 5. I was going to go like normal voice Smogs, but it feels like it's copying now. 3.5 normal voice. Hey, that's my gold. Don't take it, please.
It's so funny.
Seriously, what is your name? This is getting it away. I feel like I was just sleeping and you came in here with your riddles. And now I'm going to go burn the lake down.
No, don't burn it.
All right. Well, this is a fun episode.
Smog definitely does come across as like he could have just like negotiated with him if he wanted to.
You know what? I've given you like 20 outs. I've asked you a bunch of times to just tell me what you're here for.
Is it because of the dwarves? Because I've been feeling real bad. I've been feeling bad about it. I killed like most of the dwarven population in the world. So if you want some like reparations,
I can afford to do that.
Yeah, I didn't realize I stepped on about 30 dots out there, and it turned out that was an entire army.
I believe I killed 5 family generations in one step. It was kind of brutal.
Oh, well, I guess I'll go burn down Lake Town.
There's about 8 houses that have been pissing me off.
Oh, yeah, he killed about 3/4 of the world with one fire breath.
It must be crazy to just like know of everyone that exists. There's only like 30 names. We all know each other.
Yeah, that's why murder's pretty big deal back then. Killing so many people. All right, we got to end this episode. Thanks, guys, for being on. Robbie and Greg.
Thanks.
You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Podbeans, Google Podcasts, everything else. It's Merry Happy Christmas. It's in a few days, or it just happened yesterday when this episode comes out. So never mind. Happy New Year. I guess it'll be the next one. Hope you had a good weekend. I don't know. We don't normally say stuff like that here.
No.
When you next hear us, we will be doing movies from the top 10 of the Sight and Sound poll that just came out and made a big stir on film Twitter. But we'll be picking ones that I can convince my friends to do, and that'll be most of the battle. We'll see. And if not, we'll come up with something else, and I'll cut this part out. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And, down to Hobbit-town.
Down, Hobbit, down.
Sorry, no, Goblin Town. Oh, no. I ruined it.
You've learned nothing.
All right, back to the beginning.